Welcome to the Being Soul Confident podcast with me, your host, Nicola Tonsaga, the podcast where we are talking all things soul, where we're widening the conversation about what soul is so that you can trust it, live it, be it, so that you are being soul confident. Hello and welcome back to Being Soul Confident. Now, I have a really epic lady with me today, and I've known Charlotte for a little while. I originally met her at the end of 2021 when I came into a short program with her. I think it was actually as part of Lisa Johnson's one-to-many at that particular point in time, and then I actually worked with Charlotte at the beginning of 2022, and I've always really loved Charlotte's authenticity and Charlotte's energy. And Charlotte is one of those people, and I know that some of you will resonate with this, where if you work with her, there is an authentic relationship that continues on after the period of working together has actually ended. And that doesn't happen with everybody. And I can remember a couple of distinct times where Charlotte has checked in to make sure I'm okay, and I have really needed to know that somebody cared. So I am absolutely thrilled to welcome a lady that I deeply respect and appreciate, but is also absolutely epic. Charlotte Carter, it is amazing to have you here. Welcome. And can I just ask you to introduce who you are to our incredible listeners?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about being here, and I'm just really touched by that welcome. So my name is Charlotte Carter. At the moment, this is an interesting one. I'm calling myself a high performance coach, but I do way more than just performance. So I work with people on three areas, really: their mindset, their beliefs, activating their beliefs so they can do whatever they really want in the world, their energy so they can heal themselves, that they can provide clear energy for themselves, and then actually taking action, doing the things that are going to move the needle, change their life, transform the way of being in this world. I do all of those things, and with a sprinkle of magic.
Always with a sprinkle of magic. And what's really interesting, and the thing that I find absolutely fascinating, is how you have just leaned into and embraced energy. Because obviously from the beginning of 2022, when I first worked with you, I know there was always an interest there, but it's almost like there has just been a total immersion in all things energetic. So can you talk a little bit about that experience for you and kind of what led to that?
Yeah, for certain. That is exactly what's happened in the last 2.5 years. That energy has been activated, shall we say. So my story was always, as a child, I was always the child that was told to sit still, be quiet, stop talking. And basically my energy from a young child within the school was always seen as a negative, shall we say. It didn't fit into the way that school ran. And so over time, throughout school life and throughout all the other journeys I've been on, I've somehow chosen careers where you couldn't really show your energy. I've worked for 20 years in mental health. It's not something that you definitely, go out and go to them, because that's not kind of the place that you're in.
Yeah.
And so it was a real point in time when I decided to move and go into the business that I then moved away from hiding my energy. So when I first set the business up, I was out to help the world, and my energy kind of was able to shine in some situations with some people. And that's when I kind of realized that I'd been hiding it for so long. So then we fast forward to 2022 when we met, and I was in a place where I was supporting a lot of high performers. A lot of people were working with me for the performance side, and the energy was creeping in, shall we say, and it got louder and louder and louder. And I think it was about the time that I had my soul signatures done with you, and that was definitely a catalyst. And it was really the place where I made a conscious choice to allow it all in at the beginning of 2022. And what that really means for people listening is allowing more of who you are to shine.
Okay. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I remember working with you, and brilliance, really allowing your brilliance to come through as being something that you were super passionate about, and really, you know, allowing that aspect of you to shine as fully and as brightly and as brilliantly as it possibly can. Are you shining brilliantly now? As fully, as brilliantly as you can now?
Oh, well, this is a good game we could play. And listeners, please listen in. This is a good game we could play. I've just been channeling a little bit this morning, and a phrase that keeps coming in is being in all your brilliance. So a lot of what I do now is about allowing people to embody who they are. So if I go back to the question, am I being in all my brilliance? And if I was to say a percentage, I'd say I'm about 72%. You know, we're a lot further on than we were 2 years ago, but we've still got a lot to go.
It's always a journey, isn't it? Because and it wasn't a loaded question; it just came out that way. In terms of it, it just literally came to me. But I think there are moments in the journey where we're absolutely full on, and then there are moments where we're processing, or life comes in, or there are shifts that we're moving through, and so actually we step back a little bit to enable that processing. But it's absolutely a journey, and it's a journey. I think that the destination point isn't a definitive, because as soon as we get where we think we're going, there's always another aspect that unfolds, another potential that unfolds, isn't there?
Yeah.
What is the next stage for you? Sorry, you were going to say something then.
No, so what's the next stage for me? So the next stage for me is really about sharing the energetics and sharing all of that. So, and sharing epic with the world. There's a real piece of me sharing my signature framework, because that encompasses so much. And I think there's a piece for me talking to people that have multi-passions, because I think what happened for my journey is I got very well known very quickly as a mindset coach, as a transformational coach. But yeah, but I do way more than that. And I think that was really successful, and I had to close the door on a lot of success in that way to be able to open the door to everything else, because that is what happens. We have to close the door, release, stop doing something to be able to really allow these other bits of ourselves to come in, and then go, hey, do you know what? This bit has been here all along, but I've been blocking it, stopping it, resisting it, whatever has been going on. And now for me, the next steps is definitely being able to allow other people to experience all of that, to be able to unfold themselves in a true leadership way, really.
It's interesting because, and obviously we're on a podcast, so as listeners you won't be able to see this, but you might be able to feel it. As Charlotte and I are talking, I am actually feeling activated by your energy, which is unusual for me because I don't generally feel activated by other people's energy. Is that something that is intrinsic within you? Is that something that you know about, or is it something that you're just coming into understanding? Because it's definitely an activating energy.
Yeah, so I trained with a fabulous lady called Amanda Farah, who has an energy stream that's called Enigma. I started training in that nearly a year ago. And in that opened up my energetic prowess, and then my energetic stream and my energetic capabilities. And they are a catalyst or an activator. So anybody that comes into my energy, for certain, will feel activated to do whatever it is they want to do. Believe in themselves, change whatever it is. Do the thing, I always say, do what it is that they are waiting to do.
So if I understand you correctly, you don't have to do anything to activate anyone. It's just literally, it's part of your makeup. And as somebody comes into your space, there is either a catalyst or an activation.
Yeah, so before I came on the podcast, I intentionally chose to, show up in my greatest energy for you, because I adore you, and why would we not? Because we love hanging out together. And that's what I did. And then what happens is my energetic field is super activated. Then other people have their own energetic field. And if they activate themselves, then they'll come and get some of my activation.
How amazing.
Which is what you do. That's why we have great conversations.
And this feels like a very different, as amazing as you were back in 2022, this feels like a very different, deeper aspect of Charlotte.
It is, and it is so exciting because it's like a building block. I will always stand by all of high performance and positive psychology and all of the traditional modalities that I'm trained in. They're always foundational for people, but energetics and energy and harmony and bliss and fulfillment are much more what I'm about now.
And do you think that, and I know we're going to talk about soul in a minute, but the word success has just come into my mind. And do you feel within the work that you do, and I know you've worked with some incredible people as well, do you feel the definition of what success means for people is changing, is shifting?
Yeah, so I do for certain, but part of my ability is that I can see it for people, but they can't yet see it. They can't yet see it for themselves. So what they feel is going to be success for them. And, I've worked with people who are wildly successful in so many ways, but they're not actually fulfilled inside. And they're still searching and they're still seeking for whatever it is that's going to give them that true aliveness, is what I like to call it. So yeah, I think people's definition of success is changing, but I don't think they're connected to it.
Oh, okay. Do you connect them, or is that something that you help them do?
So first of all, I work on their beliefs. So what do they believe about what success is for them? They're carrying somebody else's beliefs or society's beliefs or whatever that might be. And then it's about, I invite, do you remember this? I invite them to consider. I always give people an invitation. I invite you to consider this, this, and this. So people can then go away and tune into themselves. And really, my work is about people understanding themselves. So I will give them prompts when they need prompts and invitations and when they need them. But really, it's about them understanding themselves and then coming back to me and saying, oh, I thought it was this. What do you think? I'm like, yeah, you're spot on.
Okay, so it's kind of it's enabling them to, which I suppose is the thing that's most important, because if we don't understand it ourselves, hearing it from someone else is not going to do the trick. We have to be able to embody it ourselves. So it's that ability to unfold and look a little bit deeper, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, I'm a big believer in, if somebody comes into my world and they come and work with me for 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, they are equipped at the end to go and do whatever it is they want to do. There's no needing me for longer. There's a real piece of my work that's like, I'm going to catalytically charge you for whatever it is that you need in this moment. And then you can go fly on your own. And this happens with a lot of people. They then come back into my world because they've flown on their own. They're like, now I'm for the next level. Then they come back. I have a huge amount of repeat people. And they fly again. So there's a real piece of, I think integration is so much about doing stuff on your own and being able to see how you flow on your own and how you shine and what comes up and where are your edges, and then come back in for the next round of evolvement.
And I think that's actually really valuable as well. And I also think that it's something that people need to embrace a little bit more, especially when we're in the coaching or the mentoring field, because actually the reason that you do the work that you do is not to hang on to people. It is actually to see them fly and to see them evolve, and actually to see them just sharing their amazingness in the way that they do, because you have helped support them to that place.
And look at you, that's what you're doing.
I know, it
just brings me so much joy. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? So what is soul to you, Charlotte? Because that's a question I ask everybody. What is it to you?
So, I mean, it's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah. For me, I tend to link it more to souls. I guess it's that inner knowing, inner self, inner certainty of what you're here to do, and living from that place and making decisions from that place and operating from that place.
And it's interesting because the energy's just shifted. It's just settled, hasn't it, a little bit? And I feel soul as that very deep centre within us. How does it correlate to you from an energetic perspective? Do you see it as an intrinsic aspect of the energy, the same as the energy, part of it, but different? How does that translate for you?
Another great question. I see it as intrinsic in the energy.
Yeah.
Although then intrinsically in it, when you're fully aligned, when you're absolutely operating from that place, then everything's really easy. It's like you and I talking. It's like such great fun because we know what, we're just having this heart-led conversation that we just adore. And I think when you translate that into life and you live life like that, then that's when you're living through your soul, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that for me personally, I believe the soul-led experience is that ability to allow soul to be in the experience, but you to be in the experience. So it's almost like there's no barrier between who you are as a human and who you are as the more divine, more energetic aspect. There's a real blending together of both. But it's also recognizing that you're in the experience and just allowing the experience to be part of the pathway as well.
Yeah, I love that. I would agree. I would agree with I would agree with that. And then I think there's an amplification of that, or an amplification or a depth, depending on how people go. So like some people like to go deeper into who they are and feel more soul-led, if you know what I mean. And then some people want to amplify more of the human and feel more human, if you know what I mean.
But as you're saying that, I do get what you mean, but it also feels as though there's a kind of a pulling apart in some respects as well, because it's almost like they're opposites, aren't they? Going in different directions. But they're kind of not going in different directions because both are just as important.
Yes. It's allowing both, isn't it? Allowing both in your experience.
How do you bring them together for you?
Workout. Do my obstacle courses. How do I bring them together? In multiple ways. So mainly for me, since I have trained in Enigma and I've got my own energy stream that's called Devotion, I have access to 3 different spirit guide teams. So I tap into them when I know that there is some guidance coming through. So I guess there's multiple ways that happens for me, but really the collectives are about bravery, leadership, and love, which is what I believe everybody is usually looking for it if they are feeling like they're a little bit lost, as one of those pieces that is required to drop in for them and enable them to take the next steps.
And were you aware of your spirit guide teams before you did the energy work?
Well, when you and I worked together, there was definitely something that I knew I had for certain, but I couldn't name it, or I was batting it away, or what, I wasn't as clear or as open to receive it. Now I get guidance every single day for people, for clients, for myself, for the world, for all sorts of things. So I've only really unlocked that in the last 6 months.
Okay. And how natural does that feel? And how I suppose that's not what I want to ask, because I know as I'm talking to you that it's a very natural experience for you now. But how easy was it for you to really accept that and allow that?
Well, Amanda will tell this story. She's been on my podcast, and you will know this because of how I am. I just do everything really quick. So everything goes super quick. So as soon as I was in Amanda's energy and in her world and understood how all that was going to work, everything happened really, really quick. So at first I was really freaked out. I have to be honest. I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on now? Now I can hear all these things. Now I've got all this stuff. What's going on? What's my old life? Who am I becoming? And I was a little bit fearful of where I was going to go with it, because it was a real time in my life where everything in business was going really well, really, really well. I had some great clients, but I knew that this was like another massive change, and I knew it was going to give me way more than what I was doing already, even though that was really, really good. So once I got over the, oh my goodness, what's going on, I then just got really excited about it, and then I just got more and more guidance. Then I got programs channeled, and then I sold out my programs, and all sorts of things like that's happened. So I think there was definitely a piece of fear, and then trust, and then surrender, and then allow.
And I think surrender is a big piece, isn't it? Because I think sometimes when we think about surrender, we think about letting go, but it's really about allowing, isn't it? It's about surrendering into that aspect that is part of who we are, but it's also greater than who we are as an individual, and really allowing ourselves to recognize that we are part of that whole, but in a really unique and beautiful way.
Surrender is something that I think a lot of listeners, some people find it difficult to understand what it is to do to surrender. And I always say, in terms of the people that listen and, like the high performance tools and techniques, for me, it's about really taking yourself right out into the sky. And so you're a little tiny, 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 tiny dot. And then thinking about how you'd really like your life to pan out, what you'd really like for yourself when you're just a little tiny dot in the whole atmosphere, and what's really important to you. And then that allows people to get really clear on what is really their soul's purpose, their soul's journey, whatever they connect to, and release the things that aren't. And I think that's where the surrender starts. But ultimately, the aim goal that you and I probably talk about surrender is, that's where you start. But ultimately, it's like living in that place.
Yeah.
Living in that place of evolving and navigating the human realm in a completely different way.
Yeah. And you're right, it is about living in that place. And I also recognize that as living in that place of really recognizing that you are always guided. So there's it's not that there's nothing that happens that's a mistake, but everything is an experience that serves us, that opens up us, that expands us, that enables us in some way. So it's sort of like it's being in the human experience and living that, but it's also at the same time witnessing it from a slightly different perspective. So you're in the journey, but you're also seeing the journey and seeing how the journey is enabling you to evolve at the same time as kind of being in it and moving through it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's probably one of my pivotal moments, when I allowed myself the ability to watch myself in my life, which is quite comical at times. But I do enjoy it, and I think I get a lot of fun from it. So it's quite a nice experience. But I think for so many people, that identify with being too much in their head, this concept is quite hard for people at first. You've got to be able to move yourself out of that space and trust in something that you can't see, or, for some people, this piece is hard.
It's interesting because as you're talking about the head, I'm thinking it's actually a body piece, isn't it? It's really being in the body and really being in the feeling of the moment, because that's where everything rises from. That's where the knowing rises from. That's where you can really trust the experience you're having, because you really are aware of it and you feel it in the body at that particular moment in time. And irrespective of what the head says afterwards, you know the truth of the experience in the moment.
That's exactly it. I think there's a piece around embodiment for some people. It's like something that they choose in any given moment, but I'd like people to really experience just living in pure embodiment and feeling all the feels and being able to navigate them in a way that really gives them a lot of joy, a lot of happiness, and a lot of deep connections.
What's the first step? If you were advising someone how to do that, what would that first step be?
Go in the ice bath.
Totally.
So definitely something like a cold shower. I mean, I joke about the water, but the water is so powerful. Something like a cold shower automatically gets people, if they're in their head, what's going on, overthinking things. The cold shower automatically, because you go into that shock of as it starts hitting your body, and then you start relaxing yourself. Within 30 seconds you're in a different state and you're in full embodiment, because you know that you're safe for starters. You can turn the shower back on hot or whatever, and in that space, that's when you can tap into so much magic. So much magic. So I would say start with a physical activity that is going to shock you into being in your body. If you don't like cold, go into the sauna, do something different, go into hot. That's where I got some of my guides came through when I was in the sauna. So it's quite funny. So do something that moves you. I remember when we worked together, it was all about the Shakti mat, and I was all about getting people to stand on the Shakti mat. There's definitely something that the whole do something that changes your head way of thinking into the body, and then from that space tap into your heart and tap into your purpose and tap into your soul and all of those things.
Yeah. And actually it's interesting as you're saying that, I remember the Shakti mat experience, and I did get one, and actually I loved it. And that initial feeling of that initial feeling of resistance that we have when we do something physical, so whether it's whether it's going in a cold shower, whether it's going in the ice tub, whether it's going in the sauna, whether it's doing something that is physically hard. For me, I think the cold was mentally hard, and I wanted to prove to myself I could do something hard. But that initial moment, whether it's half a minute of resistance, and the Shakti mat was that for me as well in some respects. But then moving past that, and suddenly there's just as kind of everything starts to, I guess, expand. The space within you starts to expand, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I believe it's like optimal mind-body performance. So you actually start activating your cells in your body, rather than thinking that you're only activating your mind. So that equilibrium allows you to create space, and from that space you get clarity, everything that people are usually seeking, clarity, confidence, in that space you get it all. You just have to go through a little bit of the pain to get there.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because and you will know this, I know from a lot of the mindset work that you've done, you will know that the thought of doing something, and this is where so many people hit a problem, isn't it? The thought of doing something is often so much harder than actually doing the do.
Yeah. There's so much energy drained. And I have this with a lot of people that I work with. We talk about their energy drains, and it's all 95% about the things that they want to do but haven't yet started.
Yeah.
Or have started to do but want to be further on. When actually the task might take them 5 minutes, but they've probably spent 50 hours thinking about actually starting to do the task.
And I suppose when we look at creative energy, which is energy, it's that energy in motion that is in that process of creating. And sometimes we can look at creativity as inspiration, and obviously it is, but actually the creative act is actually in the doing, it's in the starting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as you're taking things forward within your life and your business, what is the next step what's the next step from an energetic perspective?
So the next step from an energetic perspective is that I'm now trained to ignite my stream in other people, and so then they can ignite it in their own clients as well. So I have the ability now. So the next step is for people that want to have that, they can train in that. And I can work one-to-one and in groups with that and allow people to understand that side. So that's one of the energy pieces. The next piece is my catalytic energy in my main program, Ultra. So getting people into Ultra really to allow them to experience it, whether they want to have more of the energy or not. But it's more about people experiencing that activation, because from that space, they're just like rockets. They're just going to do whatever they want. And that's what I want to do more of. I want to impact more people energetically to be able to start and do the things and then carry on with what they're really here to do, not what anybody else thinks they're here to do.
And it's interesting because as I'm speaking to you, I'm just feeling like an integration of everything that you are, sort of all of the different bits of brilliance that you bring, but suddenly just coming together in a real integrated, whole, centered, grounded way that, and you were always amazing, you were always grounded, you were always centered, but there's just something that is fuller, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there is fuller. I love that phrase, and I think there's more depth. There always was depth, but it feels like there's more of a groundedness, more of an expansion, and more of a depth. But I love fuller. I like that.
Hmm.
Thanks.
It You're welcome. But it's just there's this beautiful integration, there's this wholeness that is just, I think, naturally who you are, but that's really showing itself. And I guess one of the questions kind of before we start to conclude things, Charlotte, is when you've been working in the field that you've been working in, particularly with high performers, and then you're going through quite a shift in your own self, and you're going through quite a shift in energy, and then you're wanting to bring that energy into your work. How difficult was that? Because obviously we're in, we're in the online space, and the spiritual stuff is there, but also sometimes there's a lot of resistance against it, particularly from people that we would class as high performers, particularly from people that are really on the business edge of business. How difficult was it for you to really own that and bring it forward in the way that you wanted to bring it forward?
Well, this is really interesting, because I'm at a little bit of a pivotal point in myself and in my business in whether I'm going to keep calling myself a high performance coach. Because the old me, the me of 2022, that is what I was very much in that space. And I was working with a lot of people who really resonated with those words and saw it as being better, being peak performers, achieving more and all of that. And I think as I've done the energetics, in the way that I show up and what I bring now, I'm all about allowing people to create a life that's full of harmony, where they live life in flow, where they create more bliss, where they create more moments of joy. There's so much more about that. So I think as I've evolved, so have my clientele, because I now work with much more people who, or more people who resonate more with, I just want to create a life where I feel good and it feels flow and it feels easy and I have fun and I have great times, rather than I just want to be the best that I can possibly be.
And I guess really that's actually the law of attraction in motion, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the person that you are, the energy that you are, is attracting those people that naturally resonate with the skills that you bring and the way that you're able to support them in it. And that is that real harmony of that law of attraction actually working, and you embodying the energy that you are, and therefore magnetizing to you the
And
people
I
that really
think
resonate.
I love that, Nick, because I think if we went back to the soul signatures you did for me,
Yeah.
which was maybe early 2022. I can't remember the date, but it was in that year anyway. That year where business was booming, but I was changing. It was like probably my biggest awakening year, should we say? There's a piece in there that I will really clearly remember, which is why I will say to people, please get your soul signatures done with Nick, because she is fabulous. And it talked about me forever evolving, and it talked about me always expanding and always changing. And it was kind of like, for me, reading it at the time, there's a real permission piece. It was like, I've got all these fabulous clients and I've got this great business and I can keep going in that direction. But actually, for me, I've kind of like completed on that. And now I'm here to do way more than what that really was. So thanks for that.
You're more than welcome. It was my absolute pleasure. And I'm really glad that they're so resonant for you, and they're still so resonant for you. And I think there is something, I think, for all of us, isn't there, about a permission piece of allowing ourselves to move forward, and in the moving forward, let go of what doesn't quite align in the way that it used to, and actually that being okay.
And I think for some people, and this is what I have with some clients and what my personal experience was, I had to let go of a lot of very successful things. So I wasn't just letting go of part of me, I was letting go of, various spaces I was in, various things that I could have carried on and got way more financially successful in that place, where I let go of things that were working well. And that was one of the biggest decisions I made. And I think when people come across that, then they really question, it's like, well, this is working well. Like, but yeah, but does it actually give you, it worked well for you in that moment for that period of time, but now does it actually give you what you're really here for and what really lights you up? Because that's the question. And if it does, carry on, brilliant. And if it doesn't, then think about what does.
Yeah. And I think for everyone in the entrepreneurial space, that is a challenge, isn't it? Because we think, oh, this is working well, this is bringing an element of success, or it's bringing an element of financial success that we need. And the ability to hold space within you to hold that letting go, because often there's a fear associated with that, because when you let something go, you don't always know what is going to come in to take its place. So that ability to hold that expansion within the body that is both fear but is also space, I think is something that we can all benefit from, can't we?
Yeah, the wonderful, I call it the little dance with duality.
I love that. I love that. And of course, I get to see you soon. I get to see you in a few weeks because I'm absolutely thrilled. Some of you will know anyway, but I'm thrilled that Charlotte is going to be bringing some amazing magic through her amazing self to Being Soul Confident in January. So I can't wait to actually see you in person there and give you a big hug and just watch you share your brilliance with some amazing women that are coming.
I'm so excited about that because it's going to be my first speaking gig of 2025.
Yay.
And it's, I'm talking about, it's kind of like I've gone full circle. And I'm really focusing on beliefs. I'm talking about activating beliefs. And I believe that really is for people that are first thinking about transforming their lives, their beliefs of what they think about themselves, what they think is what's possible, what they think they can do in all of the ways. Is what we first hit up against. And I think once we can, basically what I will be doing at your event is blow them out the water. Then we step into energy and then we step into expansion. And then we get them, give everybody a list, a task of 3 things that they can then leave next day with all the other fabulous speakers, but they can leave knowing that actually from that day, they can then start integrating some of the stuff.
And I think that belief point is so powerful because we do have the amazingness that we have within the body. We do lead with soul. There is that wonderful aspect of energy, but beliefs are an intrinsic expander or limiter of how we allow ourselves to approach things. So actually really being able to shift beliefs is pivotal in everything that we do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will save the secrets of how you do that for your day.
Absolutely. Charlotte, it's been an absolute joy to talk to you. I knew it would be. If there was something that you wanted to leave the listeners with, what would that be?
Well, there's a piece around belief, and I remember my personal story, and my sentence is always that one thought can change your life. And you can decide in any given moment to think something different, to believe something different, to believe very much what if things went as well as they possibly could, to believe that everything is already working out for you. You've just got to step into it. You can change your beliefs in a moment. So my invitation for people today is, what is the biggest limit that you're carrying and how can you switch it into a really empowering belief? And then lead and take action from that place.
And I think that is the key thing, isn't it? Then lead and take action from that place.
Lots of people can switch the beliefs, but then they sit there switching more beliefs, and then they sit there. Now I work with people on switching them to take action.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for chatting, for sharing your journey, and particularly for sharing that ability just to really move into everything that you are and really allow yourself to lead from that place. It's been an absolute joy. All of Charlotte's details are going to be in the show notes. I know that she's got an amazing program coming out in a few weeks as well. So all of those details will be available in the show notes as well. But it's been absolutely phenomenal to have you with us today.
Thank you so, so much. I have loved it, and I cannot wait to see you soon and squeeze you, basically share the magic together.
Absolutely. Can't wait. And have a lovely rest of your day, rest of your afternoon, wherever you are listening. And of course, stay being soul confident until I see you next time.